What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com. Here are my DFS picks for NFL Week 16 Millionaire Maker. These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button and hit that bell icon so you don't miss our new videos. Okay guys, this is for the Millionaire Maker slate, which is the Sunday main slate at 1 p.m. Oh, and stick around to the very end of this video. After I show you all my picks in the Draft Dashboard tools, I'll show you these players in DraftKings and in FanDuel, the Millionaire Maker slates. There'll be 2 spots open that you'll have to fill in, but you'll have a great Millionaire Maker core. Okay guys, NFL Week 16, let's take a look at the quarterback position. My Millionaire Maker quarterback for Week 16 is Jared Goff from the LA Rams playing the Seattle Seahawks, who have the 9th worst defense overall, and they give up the 4th most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks. Jared Goff has averaged 18.9 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 3.1 rush attempts per game. Now, he scored 16, 16, and 27 fantasy points in the last 3 games. So he hasn't played that well the last 2 games. So it's lowered his ownership and his salary quite a bit. He's only going to be about 2% owned, projected at 18.7 fantasy points here in Week 16. And he's only $5,900 DraftKings salary and $1,500 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 47 points scored in this game, with the LA Rams trailing by 1.5. So fantastic matchup here. I think this is a bounce back game, and you want to keep in mind Cam Akers is out for Week 16. So that means it's going to be a passing game script with a fantastic matchup. So I like Jared Goff here versus the Seattle Seahawks. Okay, let's take a look at the running back position. My Millionaire Maker running back is Austin Eckler from the LA Chargers playing the Denver Broncos, who have the 10th worst defense overall, and they give up the 9th most fantasy points to opposing running backs. Austin Eckler has averaged 16.6 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 12.4 rush attempts per game and 7 pass targets per game. He scored 12, 24, and 11 fantasy points in the last 3 games. He's going to be about 20% owned, projected at 18.2 fantasy points here in Week 16, and he's $7,600 DraftKings salary and $600 less on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 49 points scored in this game, with the LA Chargers favored by 3.5. So great matchup here, high scoring game, and a running game script. And you got to love that 7 pass targets a game. So you're getting a running back and a wide receiver in one player. So I like Austin Eckler here versus the Denver Broncos. Real quick guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. This is a great time to get in and try everything for 1 month. The tools are all about saving research time. You can see the last 3 games, the fantasy points per game, the targets they got per game, so you can see how involved they are in the offense, the rushes they got per game. Seeing all this stuff on one screen helps you save time and make better picks. Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups. Okay, let's take a look at the wide receiver position. My Millionaire Maker wide receiver is Robert Woods from the LA Rams playing the Seattle Seahawks, who have the 9th worst defense overall, and they give up the 4th most fantasy points to opposing wide receivers. Robert Woods has averaged 16.8 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 8.1 pass targets per game and 1.6 rush attempts per game. He scored 22, 8, and 19 fantasy points in the last 3 games. He's going to be about 10% owned, projected at 15.7 fantasy points here in Week 16, and he's 7,000 DraftKings salary and 300 more on FanDuel. So we know Vegas thinks there's going to be 47 points scored in this game, with the Rams trailing by 1.5. I love this bounce back spot for the Rams. With Cam Akers out, they're going to pass the ball a ton during this game. So I like Robert Woods here versus the Seattle Seahawks. Okay, moving on to the tight end position. My millionaire maker tight end is Austin Hooper from the Cleveland Browns playing the New York Jets, who have the second worst defense overall, and they give up the absolute most fantasy points to opposing tight ends. Austin Hooper has averaged 7.8 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 4.6 pass targets per game. He scored 15 fantasy points off of 6 pass targets last game. He's only going to be about 1% owned, projected at 9.7 fantasy points here in Week 16, and he's 3,500 DraftKings salary and 1,600 more on FanDuel. So Vegas thinks there's going to be 47 points scored in this game, with the Cleveland Browns favored by 9.5. Fantastic matchup here. Super low ownership and a low price tag. So I like Austin Hooper here versus the New York Jets. If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video. You've unlocked the bonus content. Okay guys, here we are in the DraftKings lineup optimizer. We've locked in our core here and we've generated a lineup. So let's see who we got. We got Jared Goff, Austin Eckler, Miles Sanders, Darnell Mooney, Mecole Hardman, Robert Woods, Austin Hooper, Nick Chubb, and the Ravens defense. So I like this lineup. We got our low ownership players in Jared Goff, Mecole Hardman, and Austin Hooper. And then we got some higher ownership players, Miles Sanders at 11% ownership, Nick Chubb at 12% ownership, Robert Woods at 10% ownership. So we got a nice mix of players in here. All these guys got pretty big upside. So I think this is a pretty solid lineup. I'm gonna save it so I can optimize it later. Okay, now here we are in the FanDuel lineup optimizer. Over here on Draft Dashboard, we have our Millionaire Maker core locked in, and we've generated a lineup. So let's see who we got. We got Jared Goff, David Montgomery, Austin Eckler, DK Metcalf, Amari Cooper, Marquise Brown, Austin Hooper, Robert Woods, and the Browns defense. Wow, I like pretty much every player in this lineup. The biggest risk here is our tight end in Austin Hooper, but I like that 1% ownership versus the New York Jets, who are pretty good at stopping the run. And Baker Mayfield's been on fire, so I like that play. Then we have the Browns defense versus the Jets. Then we have DK Metcalf, who we're running back versus our LA Rams stack of Jared Goff and Robert Woods. So I think this is a great lineup. I'm gonna save it so I can optimize it later. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smiggity smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this NFL slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again and good luck.